King Robert Baratheon, the warrior king, killed by a pig. Wow. Terrible. What a downfall.
Leave Pumbaa alone.
Hey guys, welcome back up to the Glass Candle Podcast Game of Thrones Awards Part 2. If you haven't gone and listened to Part 1, I guess they're not like entirely sequential. Like, you can listen to this one out of order, I guess. But anyway, so this is our Part 2 of our monster episode where we recap and review Book 1 of A Song of Ice and Fire called The Game of Thrones. Everybody knows all that. So here we're going to pick up with the second half, which includes Daenerys, Jon, Kat, and Ned's POV recaps, and then a bunch of other awards. And you guys will hear those as we go down, or you can hear us from Part 1 where we detail in order what everything is going to go as. Yeah, so let's go back in time to about a week and a half ago and pick up where we left off. So, let's move on to Dany's recap, eh?
Yes.
So Dany's story starts with her brother, exile King Viserys Targaryen, and a Petosian nobleman, Illyrio Mopatis. I always said Mopatis.
The fuck?
Yeah, I never heard the name before. So Illyrio Mopatis.
It was said in the show, dude.
Season 1, bro. Episode 1. I don't fucking remember. Illyrio Mopatis dressing her up and trying to make her look like a princess in order to convince Khal Drogo to wife her in exchange for crossing the Narrow Sea and reclaim Viserys' throne. Dany is like, dude, no. But Viserys abuses her and scares her into giving in. So the Khal weds her, and the wedding is a really big deal. Among other things, she gets 3 dragon eggs, 3 handmaidens, and a big silver horse. So the Khalasar, which is the army that Khal Drogo commands, leaves Pentos for Vaes Dothrak, bringing along an exiled Northman and resident creeper, Jorah Mormont, and Viserys. He tags along too. Dany adapts to the Dothraki culture, but Viz kind of struggles with the changes. That's an understatement. Dany begins having dragon dreams, and somewhere along the line, like, she fucks and gets pregnant. Jorah becomes our expository historian, telling Dany stories about Rhaegar and Aerys, and how Viserys is perhaps a bit unqualified and, not the blood of the dragon. Eventually, Dany and company reaches Vaes Dothrak, and the Crones, which are the widowed wives of dead Khals, predict that Dany's son will be the, quote, stallion who mounts the world, end quote. After she eats a raw horse heart, that is. Pretty fucking gross. Anyway, so this figure will unite all the Khalasars and conquer the world. She names the kid Rhaego, after Drogo and Rhaegar, her brother. Brother. Yeah, right. So afterward, there's a big party, and Viserys, who has grown increasingly frustrated and disrespected among the Dothraki, wanders in drunk and waving around a sword. He threatens Dany and her unborn baby, saying he's ready to collect his crown and army from Drogo. Drogo gets pissed, and he gets his boys to grab hold of Viserys. He melts his big-ass gold belt in a pot and dumps the molten gold in Viserys' head, giving him his crown. We have a whole episode on that called Viserys' Crown. Dany watches. She's a bit unmoved, oddly, so you can hear my opinion on that in our episode that I just mentioned. And then Dany assumes Viserys' conquest dream for herself. But Drogo still kind of says, nah. So then they go to the little market town in Vaes Dothrak, and Jorah saves Dany from drinking poison, and they discover that King Robert has issued a hit on Viserys, Dany, and Rhaego. I wonder how they got that information. Drogo gets pissed again, and now he decides to head to Slaver's Bay, sell some slaves for ships, and attack Westeros. Drogo raids a peasant village in the Lazarene area. And here is where Dany kind of first develops her anti-rape and anti-slavery sentiment. She claims all the women are her own slaves to save them from the Dothraki. Drogo kind of was like, alright, cool. That's cool. I agree with that. You can do that. Pisses off a lot of the dudes, though. Anyway, in the quote battle, Drogo is cut, and Dany employs the local medic, Mary Mazdur, to heal him. The Dothraki call her a Magi, and later we learn that she's an Ashai-trained Shadowbinder with connections to a dude called Marwyn, who we won't hear or see or talk about again for like 4.5 books.
3.
3 books?
He's in Feast.
Yeah, Feast. Yeah, Feast for Crows. 3 books. But anyway, so Dany keeps her to assist with her pregnancy after she treats Drogo. So Drogo ignores Miri's medical advice. He shoves mud in his fucking gaping hole wound and drinks alcohol after Miri's like, don't put mud in, don't drink alcohol. And eventually he falls from his horse. This throws the Khalisol into turmoil, and Dany recalls Miri to help. Yeah, with Drogo and her pregnancy and shit. Despite Jorah saying that Drogo is dead. Dany is like starting to get like really freaked out and is like, you gotta save him. And then Miri says her famous "only death may pay for life" quote. Dany says, do it, after she's convinced that the death is not Dany's death that will pay for Drogo's life. As the camp erupts in fighting, Dany goes into labor, and Jorah carries her into the tent after being told not to enter it at all. Dany wakes days later to find the cows are fractured and mostly gone. Rhaego is dead as the price to be paid for life, and Drogo is alive, but he's kind of a vegetable. Dany orders Miri arrested and puts down Drogo for good. She declares herself queen, raises a great pyre for Drogo, and claims the remaining Dothraki as her Khalisar. She places her dragon eggs in the pyre and binds Miri to it execution style. As the pyre is lit, the red comet appears. Dany is drawn to the flames and walks in feeling no pain. After the fires die, she is unhurt, unburnt, with 3 newborn dragons. Did I miss anything in there?
Super soaker titties.
Nope, I didn't miss a thing. Alright, so what do you think about Dany?
I liked Dany. Seeing her transform from the little girl who had no say in anything whatsoever to growing into her own, Khaleesi, queen, whatever the fuck, to where she has her own Khalasar now and she's taking direction. I think it was really cool to see her transform throughout the book.
Yeah, my first go through, didn't care. It was entirely unrelated to the rest of the books, but as we talk about it and analyze it through the group and through reviews and stuff like that, I've begun to separate it from the rest of the story into her own arc, and this first book really captured her growth pretty well, and I can't really say I was interested in it too much. I think her more interesting growth comes later on, but she definitely grows a lot from her first chapters to the end, and my opinion on Dany has changed in the positive side. I like her, and I don't agree with the mass fandom opinion of her being a spoiled Targaryen princess who was
that was so
dragon
stupid.
eggs that no one fucking knows that they'll hatch. But we've talked about that before. I really enjoyed how she stepped up, and once Viserys and Drogo were dead, she was like, "Well, I'm the fucking boss now, so I got to do these things." And then, like once that happens, she does the fire show, and she never looks back really. And the fact that she thinks like I can't look back, and I can't like renege on any of this. I have to keep going. In future books is really a strong, I can't really say moment, but like recurring moment and mental state that she catches herself in, and I really like that. All right, so we're injecting right here. We had some issue or another between like how we actually presented it and technical issues with this best sex scene part. So we're coming at you from the least farther past and cutting this one in.
The
Uh,
least farther past.
yeah, because I mean, like both recordings are in the past, and this one is more recent past.
Okay, whatever.
What's the right way to say that?
I don't even know what the fuck you're trying to say.
We're coming at you later than when the rest of this episode is recorded, but
We're
earlier.
retconning the episode.
Yeah, basically. Anyway, so this category is best sex scene from the books.
Oh my god.
Or most outstanding intercourse. We'll try not to act like a bunch of 12-year-olds.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, no, we're not going to try. Anyway, searched through the books as best I could, and I found a couple. Lillian found one extra that I did not find, but I think between the two of us, we got all of them.
Yes, I want to
All the
say I
important
did like a sex I did like a sex search in the Search of Ice and Fire website.
No, you tried a lot harder than I did. I'm sure if we get an archive of our own, we can find a lot better. So my first nominee is Kat and Ned.
Wait. So
What?
all of the sex scenes are considered nominees? So is that how
Ye-
we're presenting it, or are you gonna read through them? I'll read mine and then
Oh,
we'll
I
decide.
mean, yeah, these are like 5 scenes that I found to like refresh people's memories.
Yes, because I'm sure everybody wants to hear the details on how Danny
Well,
inserted
lucky
Khal
for
Drogo's
them,
fingers into
they
her.
won't get too many details because my book is away. I'm done with it. Anyway, so there's Kat and Ned, and that was on page 58. It's not really presented on the first go around as a sex scene at all. It's
Your
when they're
interpretation of it is a sex
right.
scene.
So it's describing Winterfell with the hot springs and the language it uses. Moist warmth is a standout phrase there. Starks can't abide the heat and water rushing through walls and whatnot. And then it just randomly cuts off after all that's done, and it's like, and then Kat's thinking, so then when Ned climbed off of her, and you're just like, oh, okay, I get it. She's not really talking about the castle.
Yeah, never got that out of it for me.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. As cool as
Pretty
symbolic
cool.
and oracle sex talk can be. The next one I found was Danny's first time. It was like an 8-hour session between her and Khal Drogo, where like they just brushed each other's hair, and like after like she goes from scared to being like, all right, yeah, we can do this now, and like he fingers her for a minute, and then like they get on with it, and then what happens?
Yeah, but yeah, it's a very,
Uh,
very long scene that is extremely different than the show.
right, yeah, we talked about that, how Drogo like just kind of
Rapes her.
yeah,
Yeah,
and this is not like that.
not at all.
Um,
No.
the next one is Tyrion and Shay, and it is almost the opposite of Dany's first time. Shay's a prostitute, and Tyrion's like, that's fine, just pretend to like it.
Just
And
pretend to like it.
he's like, okay, look at my tits, and he's like, nice. And then they do it.
Oh my god.
And then afterwards, he walks out and he hangs out with Bronn, and he's still naked. And they have a bro moment.
He's naked when they talk?
Unless he gets dressed off screen, and Martin didn't even write that.
Oh
Maybe I
god.
missed the part where it said he pulled up his trousers because I was just like, ugh. I don't know, but anyway, it's more of a Tyrion and Bronn bonding than it is Tyrion and Shay. So
They had an intimate moment. Tyrion and Shay, they were just fucking. The true intimacy was with Tyrion and Bronn.
right, I wonder if Tyrion was like looking, like making eye contact with Bronn while the
Oh
scene was going.
Jesus.
And then the next one is Dany and Drogo again. This is when she's fully pregnant, and they're at was it Veus
Base
Dothrak?
Dothraki, yeah.
And then they go in the lake and you can't really, they have intercourse. Well, we can call it that. It's not much. It's
Well,
the three quick strokes. He picks her up and they do it standing up
in
for
front of
like four,
everybody.
yeah, in front of everybody for like 4 seconds. It's just like 1, 2, 3. And he's like, I'm good. And she's like, okay.
Yes, that's what happened.
So yeah, I don't know how many of you guys can relate to the three quick strokes, but maybe that's a sentimental favorite. And then Lillian, you
Yeah, so mine was Cersei and Jaime from Bran's chapter. Basically they're going at it, and she is trying to push Jaime off. Not really, but it sounds that way to Bran. And yeah, he catches them in the act.
that one had the most
There's a lot of
impact.
moaning. Oh, well, that too.
Yeah,
Well, it says she was moaning like 3 times. That's why I'm
it
just saying.
probably did have the most impact too. Like,
Obviously. Well, yeah, because it doesn't matter because Rhaego died. I was gonna say, Dany getting pregnant
oh, I
has
meant
some impact. Oh,
physically the most impact
wait, I'm not
of
following
two
you.
bodies like impacting together.
All right,
Probably.
I
Sorry,
give up.
I said I wasn't gonna be like this.
Well, no, because I can't imagine like, all right, if we're gonna go there, let's go there. I can't imagine like Ned really being into it, like while he's fucking
I
Cat,
was gonna say the same thing.
because he's
He's
like
probably just like
all
a
about
missionary
honor,
and missionary, and
doing
then a
their
little more
duty.
missionary.
Let's just get this done. Like,
Yeah, he probably has this like a plain face, like he's not enjoying it.
that sounds like Stannis.
Well, I mean, like they're very similar.
Oh,
Um,
poor Cat. She's probably never had an orgasm.
oh yeah, probably not.
Okay, we
Maybe
should move
once
on
by
from this.
accident.
What?
I said maybe once by like accident, but
Oh,
yeah, it's probably not a regular thing. She probably sees it as unseemly too.
yeah, it's not ladylike,
Yeah.
and Cersei's down for whatever. So this is definitely the best sex scene, Cersei and Jaime.
Yeah, yeah. That's what we agreed to, and I agree with that too.
All right. All right, so our next award is the most deserved death. So I'm assuming that means whose death was deserved.
Most deserved. How analytical of you.
I
Who
know,
deserved to
right?
die
Who
that
deserved to
did
die?
die the most?
Okay, so my honorable mention, kind of fucked up. Baby Rhaego,
Really?
the stallion who mounts the world is terrifying.
Well, no one says he's definitely gonna be that. He's an innocent unborn baby. Well, infant, newborn, I suppose. That's
I think it was a good thing.
shocking that you're gonna say a newborn baby is the most deserved death. Holy
He was an
fuck!
honorable mention. He's not my nominee, but
That he was considered for most deserved to die.
I think it was the right thing for him to die.
I don't know. I can't. Nope. Nope.
He had the potential of like destroying the world.
Or he could, use his own free will and not.
With Drogo as his father, you think he wouldn't have like grown up to be just like him?
With Dany as his mother, do you think he would have grown up to be just like Drogo?
If Drogo lived, yes.
Drogo's already a vegetable.
So my nominee is Sir Hugh of the Vale. Yeah, I
Who?
know, right? Sir Hugh of the Vale. He was Jon Arryn's squire, and he died in the tourney of the hand.
Oh.
The mountain like drove a lance through his neck or something.
Yeah, my most deserved death was Viserys Targaryen. I thought this was pretty obvious.
Okay.
So why does Sir Hugh deserve to die more than Viserys?
Because he was a fucking douche.
No, I said why does Sir Hugh deserve to
Yeah,
die more than
because he was a
Viserys?
douche.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Viserys.
No, like he had no business in that tournament whatsoever. He placed himself in the position to be killed. He shouldn't have been there. And if he would have just met with Ned, like it could have been avoided.
How did he place himself in a position to get killed? Just because he entered the lists?
Yeah. And Robert only knighted him because he felt bad for him after Jon Arryn died.
That's like 1,000 different knights who just happen to
He
be
wasn't
knighted.
prepared for it. He wasn't good. Like,
Well,
I
he
think he
was
was
going
I
against the
think he was a
mountain.
logical death. He put himself in the position to be killed.
He rode against the mountain who was out to kill people in that tournament. No,
Okay,
I'm trying.
fine. If you don't like that, then Rhaego is my most deserved death. Is that
I
any
mean,
better? I want to kill
those
a
are
baby.
those are both bad takes. Like really bad.
I don't think Rhaego is bad. I think Rhaego is a good one
How does Viserys escape your judgment?
because I feel, well, give your reasons for why he's the most deserved.
He's a prick. He sexually abuses his little sister, and he sells her as you said, a broodmare to a barbarian warlord in exchange for an army to win back a throne when she's the only family he has left. He talks down to her. He's physically, verbally, and sexually abusive to her, and he threatens her life and her unborn child's life. And why am I having to list all this stuff off? Viserys is an asshole. He is the worst person. He is sympathetic to a point, but he passed that point before the book even started, and nothing except for that tiny moment uh, in his death scene is he capable of any sort of sympathy, from me at least,
He protected her all of her life.
before the book.
He protected her all of her life. He
Before the book started, doesn't matter.
So Ned's promise to Lyanna doesn't matter.
Why would it?
We used it in our argument.
It
Or
happened, or it brings it up throughout it's a crucial part of Ned's story, Ned's arc, Ned's inner conflict.
well, Danny even thinks about it, how Viserys was her only family and basically took care of her. He's the reason that she survived so long.
Once,
And
once happens once that she thinks about it.
yes, he did threaten her, and that was really stupid. And he caused his own death, but I think that there were things that could have been done to prevent it.
What about when he like pinches her nipples and like twists them to make her submit to what he wants her to do?
He's a
What
dick.
about the multiple times where he terrorizes her into like shutting her mouth
Do you
into a
want to wake
band?
the dragon?
Yes, that part. You're familiar with it. That was okay. Come on. Sir Hugh was a headstrong, arrogant boy or young man, however the hell old he was,
He's probably a teenager.
who, who thought he could joust. I don't think he deserved to die.
I think it was a logical death.
I mean, it's a danger of the sport that he was participating in for sure, and he was perhaps untrained to go against Gregor. Definitely untrained to go against Gregor. Maybe a little bit untrained to go against someone else like Sir Lothar Brune. Like Brune wouldn't have killed him. I'm having a tough time grasping with this one.
All right, I'm gonna toss Sir Hugh. Rhaego is my deserved death.
He didn't do anything. He was an infant child, a newborn.
He has the potential of just killing
But
everything.
but why is he deserved? Because of what some old bitch said he might grow up to be?
Multiple old bitches.
Okay, so what some multiple old women said that he'll grow up and do this.
They knew the
But what did,
prophecy. Ilario knew the prophecy. The Lazarene knew the prophecy.
so
Nobody wanted the
that's
stallion that mounts the world.
so that's what Rhaego did to deserve it.
Yes,
He was he
he
didn't
was
even like
born. He wasn't even
Danny.
born.
Yeah, like he doesn't do anything.
I'll go with Viserys because obviously you're not gonna pick Rhaego at all.
He's a baby. He doesn't do anything. But he didn't do anything, and he deserved to die. I don't, it's like, anyway, next one. Most undeserved death. I wonder what mine will be.
Why don't you lead us into this?
Okay, so who died who did not deserve it the most? And I picked Micah. And my runner-up was Septim Mordain. What about you?
Um, I
Viserys?
I thought
Targaryen?
about I thought about Micah, but I didn't put him
But
down.
you
I have
picked Viserys.
no.
Shocker.
So honorable mention,
Khal
Mary.
Drogo.
Mary. Thank you very much.
Mary,
Um,
huh?
Mary Mesdort. And then my nominee is Lady.
Obvious. Oh, the dog, an animal?
You know I love dogs. She
Okay.
didn't do anything wrong.
I like to add Rhaego in here, just because I wasn't aware there was a raging mob claiming and justifying his death. But he's in there too. Except to Mordain, I mean, she's Godsworn. She didn't do anything wrong. She was just trying to raise Sansa. And got her head chopped off for it. And Micah, like, he was just playing swords. And then the Hound, being a giant asshole, decides to run him down and drag his corpse all the way back to wherever the fuck you're staying at, which is a horrible thing to do.
He did his job though. Like he was
No,
ordered to do that.
doesn't fucking matter, man. Doesn't matter. If people want to tell me that Sandor's a good person, right? There's people out there that say that.
He is a
Why
good
did he
person
kill Mike?
because he was ordered to kill him,
He's ordered to beat up Sansa too, but he doesn't do that.
which makes him a good person.
But he still murdered Micah.
Character development.
Character, really. If Sandor was a good person, he would have found Micah, if he did find Micah, like if he ever bothered to try, because really, why would Sandor give a shit? Like, Joffrey, go out in the woods and find this boy Micah and kill him. If you're an adult man like Sandor, would you be like, I am really going to try hard to do this? But Sandor's just like, yes, I am going to go find him. And he goes and he finds him. And instead of being like, Micah, just, fuck off. Just
Run away.
go away.
Like they
Like-
did in Nymeria.
Yeah, like, never show your face to anybody ever again or I will kill you. But instead he's just like, oh look, I found you. I'm going to kill you now. And now I'm going to tie you up and drag you back to prove that I've killed you. You little 8-year-old boy. Like, fuck you, Sandor. You're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And, like, he can't redeem himself.
Seriously? He doesn't
Yeah.
redeem himself at all for you throughout the books?
Not a whole lot, because I'm still just like, well, he did murder an 8-year-old boy who did nothing wrong.
Okay.
If you're so upset about Lady being killed, you should be just as upset at Sandor killing Micah. Because
No,
it's the same event.
I didn't write Micah down, but he was in my head. He was one of the ones I was thinking about.
Oh, no, sure. Yeah, I'm not saying that you don't feel bad about this kid dying. I'm just saying, if you feel like Lady is one of the most undeserved deaths of a Game of Thrones,
Mm-hmm.
then in the same vein, because this is the same sequence of events that
At
led
least
to
we're
all
in the
these
same
deaths.
scene.
Yes, exactly. So you can't say that Sandor's a good person, because he is an asshole. He tries to make up for it, and he takes steps, but he is still a murderous, child-killing dickhead. There is no redemption killing children.
So Arya is a murderous cunt.
Yup. I've said this before. It's bad
Oh
that
yeah, 'cause
she's
she's a psychopath. Yeah, I remember now.
because she's a 9-year-old killing other 9-year-olds, and she doesn't think that's wrong, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay.
I didn't say murderous cunt, but I think it's a problematic issue that Arya's just like, I'd kill more people if they jump out at me.
I had to use similar language to how you were describing Sandor. Okay,
I called him a dickhead.
so
Okay.
I'll just go with you on that because, like I said, he was someone that I thought about in this category.
Who'd you say again was your most undeserved?
I had Lady.
Oh, Lady was the
Yeah, Lady
number
didn't
one.
do anything. She was blamed for the actions of her sister. She didn't do anything wrong.
She's a dog, so whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna sympathize with the dog. It's not a person. I can't relate. Anyway, before I further distance myself from our viewers, who should have died? And again, we're trying to reference this as to who escaped circumstances in which they probably should have died. Not who do we hate more than anybody else that we wish would have died.
Yeah.
So I picked Tyrion at the Green Fork, where he got his face smashed, or he got hit in the face or the head with a sword, and then he got smashed in the arm with a Morning Star, and which is like a chain ball mace spiked. Yeah, a chain ball with spikes
Does anybody
swinging
not
around.
know what that is?
Whatever, fuck it. And then the dude was just like, yield, dwarf, and he's just like, and then like he just keeps telling him to yield until like bad shit happens to it. Like Tyrion stabs his horse with his helmet,
Hmm.
right? Yeah. So like this asshole is just he yells him to yield like 4 times and doesn't do anything. And it's like, really, like
Just kill
you
him.
should have been dead after the first yield, or
Yeah.
the first hit to the head with a sword, probably. Since you see Shagga like running through people, but maybe Shagga is just Shagga. But yeah, no, like given those circumstances, I'm like Tyrion should be dead as fuck, right?
I can see that.
Did you have a different pick?
Yeah, I had Loris.
Loris.
Um,
Oh, with Gregor.
yeah, so if Sandor wouldn't have saved him, he had no chance. The mountain would have killed him, but then
Yeah,
the
you're
mountain
right.
would have been put on trial and been prevented from ravaging the Riverlands, and it also would have prevented, Renly from staking his claim because he wouldn't have had Loras to back him. But ultimately, yeah, Sandor saved his life. He totally could have, should have died. Like,
So
yeah.
Sandor stopping Gregor is responsible for a lot of the World Five Kings.
Yeah.
So if he would have just minded his own business, a lot of that stuff wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
What an asshole.
Right.
Yeah, I'll concede that one because like you can give out like blind luck with how that battle played out, but Sandra jumping in and stopping Greg from killing Loras, that's a Hound Ex Machina if ever. So I will give you that one. I'm okay with that. I like that one. That's good.
All right. So next we have our Jon recap.
Johnny
All right. So Jon Snow, the bastard of Winterfell, but don't call him
bastard.
that. He's sensitive. So King Robert is feasting at Winterfell, and poor Jon isn't good enough to join in on the festivities with the rest of the what?
With the rest.
Apparently, I did fuck up on Jon again. um. All right. So King
John
Robert,
eats food. John sits
I
at
didn't do that,
table
but
and bar.
I wrote the wrong words. Okay, so King Robert is feasting at Winterfell, and poor Jon isn't good enough to join in on the festivities with the rest of the family.
Poor
Instead,
John.
he gets drunk and tells Uncle Benjen he wants to take the black. Cat
Black.
refuses for Jon to stay at Winterfell with Ned. With Ned leaving, so off to the wall he goes, but not before saying goodbye to his brothers and little sister, but not Sansa.
Oh, fuck you, Sansa.
He shares a special bond with Arya and gives her a sword. Um,
Needle.
Lord Lord Snow gets to the wall and acts like a spoiled brat. The irony,
Bitch.
declaring he is better than all of the other recruits. Jon
Hmm.
stops the other guys from picking on the only person literally better than him in nobility, Samwell Tarly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Jon is deemed competent enough to become a brother, but Sam is not. So Jon inceptions
Ooh.
Maester Aemon and Sam's past. Jon
Nice.
shows his bratty tendencies again when he doesn't get the position he
Again?
wants. He's insulted to be he's insulted to be Lord Commander Mormont's bitch boy. Keeping
Bitch.
to his daddy's traditions, Jon takes his oaths in
Daddy.
front of the heart tree. Once it's done, Ghost finds 2 dead brothers. The dead
Ooh.
body of one of the brothers comes to life and attacks Mormont.
Is
Jon
he
and
another?
hashtag badass ghost save the date. Yeah, Sir Jeremy Riker and Flower.
And no. Other? Is he
Yeah.
another? Ah.
Oh.
Ah.
Alright. Jon is rewarded with the ancestral Valyrian steel sword of House Mormont for saving the Lord Commander. Ned has been marked a
Longclaw.
traitor, and the leaders of the Night's Watch know Jon is a flight risk. In an
Yep.
attempt to keep him, Maester Aemon reveals he is a
Targy.
Targaryen, and chooses his vows over family. Or, no,
Family.
Aemon
Nope.
chose vows over family. Ned is dead, and Jon takes
Dead.
off in the middle of the night to join Robb in the fight. His brothers find him and bring him back. Mormont knows. He knows. But he wants
Nose.
Jon and Ghost to go ranging with him. And if you want an even like better shit show of John, you should totally check out our hashtag Ghost is a Badass podcast
Mm.
because I really fucked that summary up. So yeah.
We only did one John show, right?
We did two. We did the one where he takes his nice watch vows, and then we did the one where he has his deep throat experience.
I didn't read any of John's chapters in this book, so I can't tell you, but
Well, so
I don't
going,
remember anything being off.
I
It all
really
sounds.
liked John. The first read, I really liked him, and then going through
Did
it,
you think he was an emo bitch?
I did not, but now I
Really?
do.
How?
I just
How did you
thought
miss?
I had sympathy for him as being, the outcast and being treated like shit by Kat. I felt bad for him, but then a lot of this has to do with you. You convinced
Don't put
me.
this all on me.
Well, I'm going to put it on you
A whole
that
group of people that agree with me.
whatever. That
A whole group.
he's
All of you agree
he's
with
a
me.
spoiled brat.
Yep.
His life was not as bad as he thinks it was. He was really lucky.
Yep.
And so through the reread, seeing that my mind has changed on him. I still like him as a character,
Oh
but
yeah, he's fine.
I don't find him. I'm not as sympathetic with him as I used to be. How's that?
I've never been that sympathetic with him, but yeah, I mean it's. I'm always appreciative of shifting viewpoints with whenever you, because a lot of people like you read the books over and over again, and you pick up different clues for foreshadowing or theories or something like that, but like rereading the books and like getting a different perspective on a character, I think has more value to it. So I commend you for that.
Okay.
Other like my other rereads or that I have read for a second time, um, just further emphasize, because when I first read through, I'm just like reading for plot without forming opinions, and then like going back analyzing. Oh, John seems like he's a kind of a dick, and then rereading is like, yep, John's a dick. I am better than them. It's like, wow, nice,
Yeah,
nice,
that was pretty bad.
Rick, fuck off. But I like John. He's fine. I appreciate John more in the later books.
Yeah.
When he's in his leadership role at the Night's Watch, particularly his struggles and failures in Dance with Dragons, I think are the most interesting John chapters. And then the bit in A Storm of Swords where he's negotiating and advising and talking with Stannis are my favorite portions of John's arc. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out in the Winds of Winter. So our next award is the greatest downfall, the greatest drop in political station, I believe is what we called it, right?
Yes.
Like as far as like who dropped. So I have two here, and I can't call one an honorable mention and one my pick. Okay.
Okay, that works because
So
mine is stupid. So we'll go
right. So
off of yours.
I'm submitting two, and both of these characters died. Okay.
Okay.
So let me know if this counts or not. King Robert Baratheon, the warrior king, killed by a pig. Wow. Terrible. What a downfall.
Leave Pumbaa alone.
Number two, my equal, Khal Drogo, killed by a scratch. In mud. Undefeated in battle.
Yeah.
Pretty much the both of them. Bob got injured a couple times, and
Yeah.
he was forced to make a tactical retreat. He was not defeated by Randall Tarley and the Tyrells. A tactical retreat. And he's been cut up. He's been wounded. Same with Khal Drogo. And then one got fat and was killed by a pig, and then the other shoved dirt in a wound and died.
He had a boo boo and died.
So it's like those the so high up in this chain of command of like fearsome badass fighters, but the manner in which Robert and Drogo, both kingly figures, died again from shoving mud in a gaping wound and being gutted by a pig in his dick, like it's.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
his groin. Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, you got gored in his dick. It's just like pretty pathetic when you consider like the great warriors that they were. So, what do you think? Getting digged by a pig or throwing mud in your open wound?
I
Like
think it's
it's.
Drogo.
I mean, I'm okay with like splitting this award because both of these two deaths are pathetic and like they're huge downfalls. Like just
Drogo did it to himself though.
true. So who are we awarding this to? King Robert or King Khal Drogo?
I say Drogo, but I feel like you're leaning towards Robert.
Well, they were both one of my picks. So Drogo it is. Drogo gets the greatest downfall, shoving mud in a scratch and ignoring the doctor's advice. Way to go, you freaking idiot. Um, so our next one is the most improved station. This political station, social station. Um, yeah, that makes sense.
If we don't have the same one for this, I'll be very surprised.
Cool. Rob.
Ah, fuck. I forgot
Uh,
about Rob.
I guess you didn't pick Rob then, huh?
No, Rob went from a teenager to a king. That I'm just gonna give you that one. I'll still explain
what
my
did,
choice. I picked Janos Slint.
fucking Bob Stoneburner got to you, didn't he?
No?
Because he's been advocating that shit for a while.
Well, no, because when we did our
Fucking
last
Bob.
Tyrion episode, and Tywin, was throwing a fit that Janos was given the seat of kings, given Harrenhal.
He's a butcher's
Um,
son.
yeah, he's up jump Butcher's son, and now he's, potentially eligible to become the Lord Paramount of the Trident. So
Well, I don't know if he's eligible to be Lord Paramount of the Trident.
if he's Lord of Harrenhal, that's in that area, and okay, fine.
I mean, the castle is in the Riverlands. Sure, but it doesn't make him a candidate. It doesn't make him a serious candidate. But he is up jump from a fucking nobody to, or well, from our story, uh, Lord Commander of the Gold Cloaks to a seat on the small council in a big ass castle that everybody is terrified of, which he just lets Tywin hang out in
Oh yeah,
because
I
he's a
called him a
cuck.
glorified rent-a-cop.
Yeah,
Forgot about that.
yeah, that's funny.
Um, I'll give it to you because that one's way better. I don't know how I did not think of
Yeah,
Rob.
so Rob starts off as the heir to the Lord of Winterfell, and he ends up the king of the North and also the rivers. So he ends up, or he starts off uh, an heir to like a castle and sort of like a principality, and he ends up the king of two different kingdoms. My runner-up is Tyrion, who is the second son in a fuck-up and ends up as the Hand of the King,
Okay.
temporary. Janos Slint does not factor into my calculations at all, one bit, no way, shape, or form.
Rob. Yeah. I give it to
All
Rob.
right, so there we go. Bobby Stark. Bobby Stark, the most improved station. Guess what's next, though?
Cat.
It is a Catelyn Stark / Tully recap. Catelyn is the wife of Ned Eddard Stark. Her early chapters give us the Stark family dynamic and details on their children that we've discussed at length already. She agrees to let Sansa be betrothed to Joffrey and tells Ned he should accept Hand of the King. Cat receives a letter from her sister Lysa accusing the Lannisters of murdering her husband and previous hand, Jon Arryn. She further pleads for Cat further pleads for Ned to accept, and he does. After Ned leaves, and as she's watching over Bran's comatose body, because remember he fell from a tower and now he's like in a coma, she fends off an assassin with a unique dagger. It's Valyrian steel. She travels to King Landing to personally tell Ned the conspiracy is deeper and more dangerous than they realize. There, her childhood friend, Peter Baelish, tells her the dagger belonged to Tyrion Lannister. Ned gives her instructions to ready the North and send her on her way. At the end of the crossroads, on her way back up north, she chance encounters Tyrion and places him under arrest. She misleads would-be pursuers and heads to the Vale where Lysa reigns, to put Tyrion on trial for attempted murder. Kat starts having doubts on Tyrion's guilt, but presses on due to her instinct. At the Eyrie, the situation spirals out of Kat's hands, resulting in Lysa calling for execution and Tyrion calling for trial by combat. The sellsword Bronn answers for Tyrion and wins his freedom, quote-unquote, proving his innocence. With Ned's instructions sent ahead, Kat meets her son Robb and his army at Moat Cailin, where they decide that he must defeat the Lannisters. They descend to Walder Frey and the twins, where Kat negotiates an alliance and a marriage pact. The deal betroths Robb and Arya to Freys, bolsters their forces by 4,000, and allows Robb to split his army. Kat follows Robb and witnesses the Battle of Whispering Wood, where Jaime Lannister is captured. Robb lifts the siege at Riverrun, and once inside, they learn of Ned's death and the girls' capture. Kat proposes a trade of Jaime for Sansa and Arya, and to go home, but the men reject. Kat's final chapter closes with Robb being named King of the North and of the Riverlands. So we've already, in this very long episode that we got going on, talked about Kat and a lot of her actions. Is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you want to touch on?
She shouldn't have trusted Peter.
Yeah, I mean, and that's hindsight thinking. I suppose when we first read the books, that you get the impression that maybe Peter is not quite as trustworthy as what Catelyn seems to think he is. Aside from that part, we only really get the one chapter from Kat after Ned's executed, right?
Yeah, the one where Robb gets named.
Right. We did a podcast on that with our fellow admin, Judge Dixon. So go ahead and check that one out. But we do talk about how emotionally distraught Kat is in that chapter and how much she thinks about Ned and compares Robb to Ned. And I thought the emotional trauma that she's going through really translates from the page pretty well. It was something that really reached out and humanized Kat a little bit more than just somebody who's trying to run around and play the Game of Thrones and whatnot, as it were. So I really do enjoy Kat's character.
Yeah, that chapter is probably what did it for me in turning it around, seeing how much she was devastated by his death and things like that. She's just done and over with the war. She doesn't want it to go any further. And so that kind of helped change my mind about her.
Yeah, I mean, I've already mentioned my big standout performance from Kat is the negotiation with the Freys. I do think it was a smart move for her to come down to King's Landing herself instead of risking a message being intercepted. I think that was very intelligent. She outsmarted Tyrion. She is a victim of manipulation on both Peter Baelish and her sister Lysa. But seeing as we the readers were tricked for 2-3 books, also I think it's unfair to blame her for it.
Yeah.
Especially when it's her sister and her childhood friend. Maybe she should have been a little bit more suspect of Peter, but
yeah.
Her sister lying to her, they seemed to be really close when they were kids, so I don't know how you can blame her for that.
But as soon as she sees how crazy she is, wouldn't that kind of put a little bit of doubt in your mind on how much can I believe out of this crazy woman's mouth?
Well, afterwards, the Lannisters were invading the Riverlands already anyway, so it's this seems kind of back in.
Okay.
But Tyrion, she even considered, well, fuck, maybe Peter was lying about Tyrion. So she does go through her own doubts, and she has good instincts. She doesn't always trust the right instincts, but for the most part, I think she does.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the non-POV POV, most valuable player of a Game of Thrones.
This was a group poll.
Yeah, this was a group poll, and basically, like, who could you take out of this first book, or who could you not take
I was
out
gonna say,
of this first book? Is that what I said?
yeah.
Yeah, could not be left out. Who has such a strong impact that taking them out changes everything. Could apply to all characters, but only one can win. This was a poll, and pretty heavily, Jaime Lannister
Mhm.
is the non-point of view most valuable player of A Game of Thrones.
According to the group,
Yeah, and he gets the award because the people have spoken.
we let them pick.
And I disagree.
So do I.
So the cases for Jaime is that he pushed Bran out of a window,
And that's about it.
and that's it. I think, like, I didn't hear anybody say or read anybody say anything else. Like, I was looking, but I didn't see nobody backed up their things. Like, he
Other
pushed him out
than
of a
pushing out the
window,
window.
and if that changes, like, the way Bran acts in books down the road. Bran is stuck at Winterfell, and if Bran isn't pushed out of a window, then he goes south with Ned, and then what the fuck fucking changes in King's Landing if Bran's there with Sansa and Arya? So, what good is Jaime? He gets captured. Cool, he gets captured. What does he do? He doesn't let himself get captured. He doesn't do shit to do that. He loses, and as a result, he's taken away. So I don't get it.
I don't either. Who'd you pick?
Joffrey Baratheon.
Oh, that's right. I just read your comments. I don't even know why I asked that.
Yeah. So throughout the entire story, like, Joffrey has like a very noticeable presence whenever we're around. Whenever we're in Winterfell with the royal family, he's shit talking Robb, and Jon notices how much of a prick he is. So, like, immediately we're given this rivalry between Robb and Joffrey, which we see again towards the end of the book. Really escalates from play fighting in the sword yard, where Joffrey tries to, like, one up him, to at the end where they're both raising armies to try to kill each other. And then with Sansa, we see, like, oh look, he's kind of like a nice dude, like, he's okay. And then he freaks out on Arya, and we're just like, yeah, this kid's a little fucking weird. And then we see him again, and so, like, we get this fluctuating personality with Joffrey, to where it's just like, is he gonna be a good kid? Is he gonna be bad? Is he gonna be really weird? Like, I don't understand what's going on with him. And then he loses his fucking mind, and he chops off Ned Stark's head, and we're just like, okay, this guy sucks. And he starts getting all bratty as a king and whatnot. So I don't think you can take that out of the book at all. And I definitely think you have to keep that in over Jaime.
Yeah.
Like, Jaime's not important. Cersei can push Bran out of a window because she's upset with him, and then Adamar Bran can lose in Whispering Wood, and it's okay. Like, whatever. What do you think? What's your pick?
So originally, I did agree with the group and had Jaime, and then I started attempting to write out my reasoning, and it didn't make any sense. So that changed. My new pick is Cersei.
Okay,
So
I agree with that. It's my second place.
Like you just said, she could push Bran out the window. A lot of what she does causes tension between the Starks and the Lannisters. Yeah, Cat also had a play in that, with Tywin then ending up going out and ravaging the Riverlands. But Cersei did have her part to play in it as well. She tried to have Robert killed twice, once during the tourney, and then she successfully aided in his death later on. So it's entirely possible that Robert could have died at some point, but I don't think without her facilitating that it would have happened during this book.
What did she do to help Robert die?
Fortified wine. Get some extra junk.
Okay, so she gave it to somebody else who gave it to Robert.
Yeah, she gave it to Lancel.
So then that doesn't make Lancel responsible.
And then she, manipulates Sansa and
Yeah, yeah.
all that stuff, and she basically
Low
pushes
ball.
Joff's claim for the throne, which Joff probably could have done by himself, but
Yeah, low
she's
ball.
the one who tore up Robert's will, dismissed Barristan, and did all that.
All right, so between Joffrey and Cersei.
Well, no, we don't get a choice, remember?
Ah, fuck. Before. Yeah. It's interesting that we all pick Lannisters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't even see that.
Well, between our picks,
I think they kind of go hand in hand, but I'll give it to Joffrey.
I was gonna say I can concede to Cersei, but it's okay since it
I
doesn't matter anyway
I think
because
it's kind of
Jaime is the most important person in a Game of Thrones. Sure.
all right. So next up, we got biggest surprise.
Yeah.
All right, so I have an honorable mention for Maester Aemon. We're led to believe throughout the entire book that all the Targaryens are dead other than Dany and Viserys. So for him to come out and tell his life story is like, oh shit, where'd he come from? And then it made me think, like, did Robert not kill him because he was a maester on the wall? Or does Robert not know who he is? Like,
Probably didn't know who he was.
okay.
Probably forgot about him.
Um,
And he was part of the Night's Watch, so like he's whatever anyway.
Technically not supposed to take part, but still he is a Targaryen.
Doesn't matter. Like, he's a Targaryen and he's a Maester. He's double denied from making babies. And
True.
again, Robert's got enough sense to be like, he's a Maester and he's a Night's Watchman, so like
All right.
whatever.
Well, that was a surprise to me. I wasn't expecting any other Targs to come out.
I forgot
So
about it.
my nominee is Robb being named King of the North because where the hell did that come from? His mission was to rescue his father and then later on to lift the siege of Riverrun. He never wanted to be king. He was a young, naive man, new to the ways of war, and all of a sudden he's just being thrust into this new position, and it was very surprising.
Yeah, I agree. We just did that episode where my whole thing was Great John just comes out of nowhere and just like, I want to name this child a king
Yeah.
to match this other child king, and it really just comes out of nowhere. So I went normie as fuck on my first point, which was Ned dies.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
But and this is so like I said a thousand times, watch the show. I read the books, and then I told you that I rewatched the show. So obviously, from watching season 1 all the way up to I finished 6 before I read the books, and then I read the books. So like without having any reference from season 1 to book 1, just like okay, whatever. And then like as I was after I finished the books, I rewatched the first couple seasons of the show just to see like how does this compare. And then when Arya's underground in the Red Keep, and she overhears Varys and Illyrio, in her POV she doesn't name them Varys and Illyrio.
Yeah, because she doesn't know who they are.
Exactly. So like when I watched the show and I don't know like the first time I didn't know who Varys and Illyrio were or how important they were. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, were those people in the show already? Like I
Oh,
don't
okay.
whatever. Like I wasn't sure like who's important and who's not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then reading the books, you just see a small man and then a fat man, and I'm like, this could be anybody.
Yeah.
And then so show, book, and then show again, and I was just like, oh fuck, that Varys and Illyrio were working together since the first. This makes sense. I get it now. So it took me 3 tries, and it took the show for me to get that Varys and Illyrio were like bros
Okay.
and doing things and stuff. So that was my biggest surprise. Because then in just the context of the book, you have an advisor to the King of Westeros who's advising to kill Dany, teaming up with a guy who
Who's protecting Dany?
was part of protecting Dany and married her off and gave her dragon eggs. So then you're like, is Varys with Danny? Is Illyrio with Varys and Robert? Because Jorah was also a spy. So, like, what is going on?
Who
And
is
it's just
actually for who?
right. So, it really exploded in my head. I remember what I was doing. I was like looking at my phone whenever I was just like, shit, that's fucking Varys. So I was half paying attention again, and I probably would have missed it again.
Yeah.
All right, so biggest surprise: Rob being named king, uh, or Ned dying. Is it kind of the same thing? Or Varys is like, well, I don't know. I can't nominate Varys because that was my own personal biggest surprise. Um, so after Ned gets his head chopped off, were you thinking that Rob would be named a king?
Fuck no. I didn't think there were gonna be any other kings. I thought there was a king. And that was it.
Yeah.
Like there was only gonna be one king of Westeros, so like that was the only possibility. You know, granted, Ned wanted to give it to Stannis, so there may be a couple fights over it, but I saw it as the Iron Throne is Westeros, and that is that. That is it's done.
Yeah, I can't decide if I was more surprised by Ned dying or Rob being named a king. I wasn't expecting Rob to be named a king in the first book, right? Well, yeah, I don't know. I guess Rob gets it because after Ned gets his head chopped off, I was like, well, that's the end of the book. And I was like, there's a lot of pages left. So I'll give it to Rob.
Okay.
Although, I mean, Ned being the main character and dying, that can't be overlooked that easily. So maybe I'm going to pull back on you real quick.
It's hard for me to give it to Ned because
Especially when the narrative itself was like, you're going to go to the wall. Then at the last second, without any hint, was, actually, I'm going to chop your head off. Ah, gotcha, bitch. You know?
okay, I will concede and give you that. I think just semantics wise, I think Ned losing his head was a bigger surprise. I think Rob being named king was just totally unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, they're the same thing.
I
So
know.
those are a good point. Well, you want to call this one a draw?
Yeah,
A co-winner?
the Starks win it either way.
Biggest surprise, Starks.
Starks.
Alright, so our next award is the biggest influence on Westeros. Now, the framework for this, the person who wins this is going to be the one that the other characters kind of fear and are aware of the most. And with the land in chaos and turmoil as much as it is, it's this person who has like the biggest reputation and not so much fame in of itself, but like as in the ability to take control of the situation and something that derails their other plans. Once we start talking through nominees and stuff, it'll be a bit more clear. So I had two people that immediately sprung to mind with this. My first one being Peter Baelish, and this is a little meta, so I think maybe it kind of disqualifies itself since we know how much Peter is involved with everything. And my justification, if you will, Lillian, is that for this award as like the influence on Westeros, we kind of need to look at it from a beyond book one sort of type of a thing. So like we know
No,
like these are the things that he did do in this book.
no,
But
no.
even taking out any kind of extra knowledge that we know that he had his hands in, he was the person who tipped Cat off to take Tyrion. He was the person one of the people between him and Varys driving Ned's investigation, and obviously Peter knew the whole time. Is that too meta to say that he knew about the twincest? I don't
I
think
think
so.
we get the impression that he knew. I believe we get the impression that basically everybody on the small council knew.
Right. Okay. So we can assume that then. So that he knows the twincest and what John Aaron found and what they were looking for. So he's steering Ned and manipulating Ned on his way through it, and then he kind of tells Ned, he doesn't kind of tell Ned, he straight up tells Ned, you should back Renly and overthrow Joffrey, or just keep Joffrey and then you reign his hand. And if things so like varies or not varies, Peter has plans in place and alternatives ready to go. And then whether or not like we can't really branch off from those ideas into what we know he actually does, but it opens the door to see like maybe he has other schemes going on. I think that's the most that we can say for Baelish. He's also has contacts with Varys and Cersei and things like that we don't see on the page, but it's kind of something that we can draw from it. So before I nominate my other person, did you have multiple?
I just have one. Do you want me to walk through it, or do you want to go ahead and do your
Yeah.
second?
Go ahead and with yours.
All right, so my nominee was Tywin, based on his reach of power and reputation. Basically he causes fear throughout the entire realm. Ned and Cat are both worried about his wrath, when Cat takes Tywin and then it leads to everything in the Riverlands. He adds to Robert's hatred of the Targaryens because we learn in book one, how he presented Rhaenys and Aegon's dead bodies to Robert, and Robert was stoked on that. So Robert kind of uses that as justification for sending people after Dany. And so I don't. Do we get the story of the Reigns of Castamere in this book? I feel like we don't.
No, I don't recall it,
Okay,
but I can't
so
say for a second.
I can't use that, but we do know that he's a skilled war commander, and a good amount of people are worried about him. So I feel like he has influence over people's actions throughout the book.
Do you want me to challenge Tywin or go with my?
Go with your next one, and then we'll poke holes through each one.
So while I recognize that Baelish probably doesn't fit the constraints of the book for this one, my next one and my more serious pick is Stannis Baratheon. So obviously, once Ned finds out the twin cest and bastardy, his entire motivation shifts to putting Stannis on the throne. And even before, he's always sending letters to Stannis. He's trying to get Stannis' help. He wants to know what Stannis knew about what Jon knew. And he's like a real big part of the mystery that Ned's trying to find. Like, why did Stannis leave? Like, why isn't he here? Uh, and then obviously afterwards it becomes, well, Stannis is the one true king, so he needs to be here. And there's a lot of conflict around because Renly's there, and he's like, "No, nah, it can't be you," and that translates over with the other Northmen at Rob's council. It's like, well, if it can't be Renly, it has to be Stannis. And then Tywin says a couple times, like, I need to deal with this so I can deal with Stannis. So those are three camps right there that have Stannis in the forefront of their mind. Ironically, like Stannis doesn't show up at all, and we're doing this entirely based on his reputation, which is kind of what the essence of this award
Yeah.
is who has the weird reputation and like dominates things over Westeros. So with him being a I want to call him a paramount threat to Tywin, even though Tywin puts him on the back burner to deal with Rob first. Um, that alone carries a lot of weight. Is that Tywin would almost vote for him for this award.
Yeah, but Tywin
I
like
have
would,
children screaming.
but even Tywin, legitimately says that Stannis is the bigger threat, so we know that he has that influence over Tywin, which I
Mm-hmm.
guess would trump my nomination of Tywin if Tywin is scared of Stannis.
I wouldn't say scared, but when feared, but in the sense of like wary respect, begrudging respect, and
Yeah,
awareness of what the man is capable of. Um, and I want to poke holes in Stannis by saying that Rob kind of shows no fear against him, and the Northmen kind of toss aside Tywin's reputation, and then they're also able to outsmart him and beat a bunch of his armies. I think Tywin does win the one fight with the Northmen that he does get, but
at the Green Fort,
yeah,
but that was like half their forces. Bolton was the one that was leading that, so
right.
it
Still
wasn't
Northmen against Tywin.
a real battle, or I wouldn't consider it like a huge. Okay, stop making that
Why?
face.
It is a real battle.
Okay, fine.
But no, like aside from that, Tywin still has a strong presence. Um, but I think Tywin's presence comes out stronger in the next book. Ironically, that he's losing a lot, almost all the fights. I think his reputation and his influence over everything kind of comes more in the next one because we kind of see a bit more of a correspondence between them, and really Stannis too, I suppose. But Stannis kind of loses influence on the next book. But no,
Yeah,
with this one, I definitely think Stannis because there's three different camps that are aware of him and are taking what he's doing into consideration, even though Stannis is just sitting on Dragonstone hiring mercs,
yeah.
and everyone's just like, "What the fuck does this mean?"
No, I definitely agree. Even though he doesn't appear in the book at all, like he himself, um, he has an influence over the majority of Westeros. So I definitely agree.
You think Dany and Drogo get an honorable mention here, since they do elicit a huge reaction from the current king of Westeros, even
Yeah, but
though
that's
Ned
not like
downplays it.
Westeros
But
as a whole.
just the one person embodiment of Westeros as a whole.
The one person that matters in Westeros.
Yeah.
Um,
Again, probably
sure.
not worthy of winning this award, but
But they did,
because Robert freaks out so
yes,
much.
twice.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see
But no,
that.
I'm okay with giving this one to Stannis.
I agree. Stannis gets it.
Hey, Stannis, making it out. There we go.
Okay, so up next we have the summary of Ned's adventures in the first book.
Adventures.
So, Lord Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell, Warden of the North, his BFF, King Robert, has come to visit and offers Ned a promotion as Hand of the King. Ned is hesitant to accept, but is stoked to spend time with his bro. They go riding and reminisce about the old
Okay.
times. Robert tells Ned about the marriage of Daenerys Targaryen, and his paranoia really comes out. Ned takes off to King's Landing with his girls. When some shit goes down between Arya and Prince Joff, Ned is forced to stand up to the king. After all is said and done, Ned has to kill Sansa's direwolf lady and sends her body back up north. Ned makes it to King's Landing and is forced to meet with a small council. He hates it, he hates them, and is pissed the realm is in debt. After the meeting, Littlefinger intercepts Ned and drags him to a whorehouse because lols, that's where he decided to hide Cat, his lost love. Ned is pissed about the hand's tourney and is sick of talking about it. He takes a break from handing to go visit some random that Jon Arryn and Stannis met with. There he finds Robert's bastard and tries to figure what the fuck that was all about. During Ned's tourney, Jon Arryn's squire dies under shady circumstances and Ned wonders what's up. Robert wants to compete in the tourney melee, but Ned and Barry talk him out of it. Varys later tells Ned Cersei planned on Robert dying in the melee. The small council learns Dany is preggers and Robert is pissed. He wants her dead and wants it
She's
now.
pregnant.
Ned isn't down and resigns his hand. He makes plans to fuck off back to the north and get the fuck out of Dodge. Ned lets Littlefinger take him to a brothel Jon Arryn visited and finds another of Robert's bastards. On his way back to the Red Keep, he throws down with Jaime Lannister because Cat imp-napped Tyrion. Ned's men are massacred and he breaks a leg. It's fever dream time. Ned is tripping from milk of the poppy, and it causes him to remember the Tower of Joy. By some miracle, he survives a battle with Sir Arthur Dayne, Sword of the Morning, best sword ever, and finds his dying sister
Allegedly.
Lyanna, who makes him promise. Once he's coherent, Ned takes the blame for the imp napping and is forced to take the position of hand again. Robert's gone hunting, and Ned is ruling in his stead. He hears a bunch of complaints about the Riverlands and sends out a party to kill the mountain. Ned has finally put two and two together and knows the Baratheon kids are really Lanny abominations. Ned's damned mercy and honor cause him to warn Cersei and give her an ultimatum to leave and save herself. Robert was fatally injured by a boar and has Ned write out his will. Ned uses selective wording intending to crown Stannis. Robert dies and Joff claims the throne. Ned uses Robert's will to proclaim himself protector of the realm, but Cersei says, "Bitch, please," and the City Watch kills the Stark men, and Littlefinger shows his true colors.
Wow.
Ned is forced to chill in the black cells and wait his time out. Varys convinces him to admit to treason so he can take the black and save his girls. And we know how that plays out. Ned loses his head.
Or does he?
He's a pigeon. Or is he a sword?
Somebody lost their head. Yeah, no, that about rolls it up. Interesting that it's Ned's POV in this one book that has sparked like the two biggest memes in the in the like
Winter
the
is
fandom.
coming, and what else?
Well, I didn't even think about that. I was thinking the whore is pregnant and Bessie.
Oh, okay. I thought you like literally meant Ned. Well,
No, just
okay,
from
first of all,
Ned's
Bessie
point.
is a show person.
Her tits are a show person.
I thought Bessie was wasn't her name in the book either.
I
Is
thought
her
her
name
name was.
Bessie? I don't
Thought
know.
maybe it was. I just
In the
her
book, it's
eyes.
big brown eyes.
Becca. No, she was one of mine. God love her. Black hair and the sweet big eyes. You could drown in them.
All right, so see, I was
So,
right. Her name wasn't Bessie.
Becca.
So our next
All right.
award. Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
we talked about Ned way too much, so you're right. We can just move on to the next award.
Well, yeah, because basically the entire time we've been doing this, we bring him up.
Yeah, he's Ned's. I think pulled a couple of awards already, and none of them for positive things.
Poor Ned.
So the next award was a group voted, and this was who won a Game of Thrones, and I believe we phrase this who met most of their goals and who is in the biggest, or not the biggest, the best position to succeed heading into a Clash of Kings, taking into account things won versus lost, like people, positions, armies, just whatever, taking account uh, gains and losses along the way. So our group voted, and with Lillian will give us the numbers here in a second, but the winner was Peter Baelish.
By a landslide, Littlefinger had 67 votes versus Daenerys having 19. And then Rob after that with 16.
Yeah, I don't really necessarily agree with any of those three picks.
We we are very surprised with how the group voted.
Yeah,
And
the group
yeah.
metagamed a lot. Uh, Considering that if the book ended and you didn't have 2, 3, 4, or 5, you don't really know what Peter Baelish gained. You just know that he was on Ned's side and then he wasn't, and you don't know what he got for that.
Yeah, and nobody
Um,
really makes a good argument for him in the comments. There's a couple people who make a good argument against him.
yeah, Peter wanted to start a war, and that was his goal, and he achieved his goal. His goal is not to start war; that's a part of it, and then the goal is to increase his holdings and his power in the chaos and vacuum that happens afterwards.
And we don't know any of that yet.
Yeah, or while the war is going on, like how fast he can climb up. And from start to finish, Peter Baelish doesn't gain a castle, doesn't gain lands, doesn't gain an army, doesn't change his position. He's Master of Coin at the start, he's Master of Coin at the end. All that he does is get his former crush's husband imprisoned. Not even executed. He just gets him imprisoned, gets him fired, and then, gets him sent up to the wall.
Supposedly, allegedly.
Or at least arrested him to put him in a position to do that. So,
Right.
yeah, I can't really see how Peter Baelish won anything aside from that one little bit that affects just, he got it for his own gain and doesn't throw the Starks out of power. It just affects Ned.
Okay, let me read this one comment from Johnny because it goes through a couple different players. Or did you end up picking Renly because of his comment, or did you have someone else?
No, yeah, he kind of swayed me on who I'm picking.
So you did pick Renly?
Yeah, I
All right, go
think
ahead and do
Renly
your
did.
nominee first, and then I'll read his comment.
My nominee is Renly. Go ahead and read his comment.
All right, so Johnny Hawkins from our group, he broke a couple things down. So he says Dany ended up with no allies, left for dead in the desert. Long term, she's in no better position to go into Clash. So he's saying Rob or Baelish it has to be. Rob has the Lannisters on the run. The likelihood of the Vale Iron Islands joining him seems likely. He's in a good position. All of Baelish's plans have gone off without a hitch, so he's doing good too. But we just talked about how that's other
Yeah,
books, so
you
whatever.
don't know that his plans are
We don't know
falling
that
apart.
yet. But here's the good portion of his comment. Renly is also in a very strong position. In fact, probably the strongest, and would have won had it not been for more Deus Ex Diabolus. What the fuck is he saying there?
Deus Ex Diabolus, meaning he was killed by shadow demon babies.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you understood that.
Yeah.
Two powerful regions on his side, no significant military threats between him and the capital, pragmatic and willing to compromise with most people, Northerners currently destroying his only enemy in the field without him needing to do anything. He must have thought he had it in the bag. Fuck it, voting Renly.
Yeah, and then just to add on top of that, it kind of knocks Rob down a peg that his father is killed and that two of his sisters are lost, and are now in the hands of the enemy, as far as he knows. One of them definitely is. One of them is missing. Um, but you gotta tally those losses up, and then when you look at what Renly lost, he lost a brother that he really wasn't that close to, and that's it. His initial plan to seize the throne overnight didn't work. I don't know why he still couldn't have gone with it. He had more men, but I guess he didn't want to fight Ned Stark. So for the sake of not starting a war with the Starks, he was just like, all right, I'll just go, and off he went. And Ned kind of dying plays into his hands because had Ned lived, Renly would be named like another bad guy, pretty much. Ned would give word to Robb that it should be Stannis, and then Renly would be a bad guy. But because Ned dies, he's not able to translate that message to Robb, so it's like, well, Renly's enemies with the Lannisters too, so yeah, everything kind of worked out for Renly.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's in the best looking position heading in the Clash, to me.
Talking it through, I agree with you, but my nominee had been Cersei because she got rid of her husband and eliminated her enemies and placed her son on the throne, so she gained a lot. And she didn't really lose anything either. She hates her husband. She's still queen. Um, but Renly's in the better position, definitely.
Their secret was safe after Bran found him out. She was able to capture one of the daughters. Um, she was able to maintain a cover quite well and almost had things under control before Joffrey kind of ruined things for her. So that kind of is a little bit of a knock. But I initially was thinking Cersei too.
Yeah.
You can give me the argument that she kind of bumblefucked her way into getting Robert killed.
She bumblefucked her way?
Yeah, like,
Fuck does
that's
that
not
mean?
exact. It means she stumbled through it.
Oh, okay.
Because that's not exactly how they drew the plan up, and it relied on a certain amount of luck, bad luck on Robert's end, uh, for things to go down that way. So they did luck into that plan working. Um,
Well, she had
so
previously tried to kill him. She like goaded him into being in the melee because she thought that he would die there. And
uh
then she provided Lancel with, the wine to get Robert even more drunk, and that definitely, lucked out there.
I mean, Robert was gonna drink anyway, but I mean, what I'm saying is Cersei has a reputation of having these wild plans.
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Cersei has a history of having these wild plans that don't always seem to work, and this just kind of feeds right in with the rest of them. Like she got lucky that Robert missed. Um, but so I don't know if you want to count into effect how her plan was executed, but I think regardless, it kind of lines up more with Renly.
Yeah, Johnny
So I
won me over.
am, yeah,
But we still
I'm
lose.
canceling. No, I'm canceling the group's decision. I'm vetoing it, and I'm
I
saying
think we
Renly
only
Baratheon won
agreed
a
with
Game of
one of them,
Thrones.
and that was the best ship. That was the only one we agreed with.
Yeah,
Everything else, we're like, no, what are you people doing?
yeah. So that takes us into We've had the non-POV most valuable player, so now we're going into the point of view most valuable player.
This is the grand finale.
Yeah, so of our main characters, which one was pretty much the most important? Do you want to go first, or you want me to?
I keep saying I'll be surprised if we have different answers, and then I am surprised because we have different answers. So I don't even, I want to say it, but whatever. My nominee was Ned. Do you agree
Okay.
or no?
I have one sole only opinion on this. It's not Ned.
Fucking
There is no
shit.
runners-up. There is no honorable mentions.
Okay, so my argument for Ned is because we essentially get the whole story through him and the motivations of a lot of the key players. Without him, basically, we wouldn't know about Robert's kids. We wouldn't know that Littlefinger can't be trusted. We wouldn't know about Lyanna and Rhaegar. We wouldn't know about the Tower of Joy. We wouldn't know about Tywin presenting Aegon and Rhaenys. Any of that stuff. A lot of what has to do with the story.
We wouldn't know about it in this book, but we would find out later.
But going off of this book,
Mm-hmm.
just this book.
And those details are not crucial to the story. What happened at the Tower of Joy, that's not critical. What happened with Lyanna and Rhaegar is not that important since Targaryens are all gone, and we would have got that from Dany anyway.
Well, Bran tells us that Robert started
Tywin,
a war because, well, that's Bran telling us. That's not dead.
yeah, whatever. And that's coming from Bran anyway. So between Bran and Daenerys, you still get it. Uh, Tywin killing Rhaenys and Aegon, like, okay, you don't need that. And that was all came in like one chapter too, right? Seems like it's all in one paragraph.
I think he brings it up more
Obviously,
than once.
the fever dream is sometimes is its own thing, but the stuff that happened with the old Targaryens, that's not that important. Finding out the key play. I'll go ahead. My POV MVP is Cat because Cat is everywhere, and if you take out the King's Landing mystery, I don't think the story collapses on itself at all for this one book, because you still get a good bit of it through Catelyn. You have her convincing Ned to go to King's Landing to accept the job. She gets the letter from Lysa that accuses the Lannisters. She's there when Bran gets assassinated, so then you're just like, if you're reading that, you're like, oh, well, the Lannisters, they killed Jon, Aaron, so they probably tried to kill Bran because Bran saw them. And then Cat goes down to King's Landing and meets Ned, and then they talk about how much worse the conspiracy is, and then you get the stuff from Peter Baelish, and you get Cat's thoughts on him. You get the whole Tyrion capture and everything like that, the Riverlands War, the North coming down and all that stuff. So while Ned is a big driver first of the mystery, I think you can even just hear about Ned's death being executed by the Lannisters without knowing any reason, and I don't think it cripples the story that much. Where I think it's Cat, she goes to so many places and interacts with so many characters and is a part of the world building of the first book so much that if you take her out, it cripples it.
You don't think that knowing about the kids is important?
No, it is important, but I don't think it's necessary. I think if you take it out and you still leave it open as a mystery, because you still get all the hints from Sansa and Arya that are cleverly seeded throughout, without it being explicitly said to us in Ned's POV.
What about Dany?
What about her?
What do we get about Dany through Cat? We don't get anything.
No, what do you get about Dany from Tyrion?
Tyrion's not my nomination.
Dany has her own POV, so why am I relying on Ned to get information about Dany? I'm in her head. I know she's pregnant. I know she married a Dothraki warlord. I know the plan is to bring their army over. I don't know that Jorah's a spy, but that's not a huge deal in this one. It is hinted at, though, that Jorah's a spy and that King Robert is sending assassins after him because Jorah says so. He's all like, someone must be informing on you, Dany. This is terrible. When it's him, so it's kind of funny. Come on, fight me.
I'm thinking.
Ned just wanders around and looks at a bunch of kids. And is just like, what do they all have in common?
Well, we've said it more than once through our discussions of the awards that Ned is basically the main character for this book.
Yeah, yeah. He has the most chapters. He seems like he's the main character.
So I feel like he's important to the book.
Yeah, he is important to the book. I don't think he's the most important.
I don't know. I just feel like because Ned is the main character, but like thinking through it, because Bran gives us so much during the crypt chapter, I think he gives us a
About
lot
what?
about, huh?
About what?
About Rhaegar and Lyanna and the motivation for Robert's rebellion, which were
Again,
like half of my
Danny.
points.
Danny gives us all that too.
In the first book?
Yeah. Jorah is the expository historian for us. Tells us all about it.
In the first book, are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I recap her chapters. I had to read it.
Okay, fine. I don't like conceding to Kat, but
I
she
don't
is
like
all
to
over
do
the
Ned.
story.
Because if you take Cat out, you have no idea what happens in the Riverlands. You just hear that Cat took Tyrion and then he escaped or got
You have
released.
Tyrion's POV.
Okay, you have Tyrion's POV, sure. So you get the whole trip to the Vale. You
The
don't have any
Riverlands
other.
we know through Ned.
Barely. You hear about it, but that's a whole big war. You're just like, the war broke out in the Riverlands. Rob's army came down. So something happened and they were able to split in two sides. I guess because you don't know anything about the phrase. You're just like, where's Whispering Wood? How were they able to get around Tywin's army if
Okay,
Tywin
so
won
without
and then Jaime's
Kat,
captured?
we
So
don't get the
how
phrase, we don't get the alliance, we don't get the King in the North,
you don't get how Jaime gets captured?
we don't get Lysa's batshit crazy.
Yeah, you
Oh,
don't get the
we
letter.
could get that through Tyrion,
Yeah, you don't get the letter accusing the Lannisters.
which basically starts a lot of this shit.
You don't get the assassination attempt at Bran.
True, but we learn about it later through other chapters,
Yeah, Ned
but we
when
wouldn't see
Cat
it.
tells.
All right.
I think there's more important things that happen, or yeah, more not like higher level of importance, but multiple important things that happen with Cat as opposed to Ned circling around in circles. Obviously, Ned's circling around, looking at a bunch of kids, trying to figure out what they all have in common, and he's like, "Oh, duh."
All
Again, I
right.
am downplaying Ned on purpose for the purpose of my argument. I realize it's a lot more important than just look at these kids.
I'll concede to Kat.
Weak sauce. I win. Me and Cat. Here we go. Cat Stark, the POV MVP of the Game of Thrones. Nice.
Catelyn Tully. It's not a start.
Her name's Cat Stark. All right. So, do we want to recap the awards and the winners real quick? All right. So, for our first one, it was who is the nicest guy,
Jory. Jory won
and
that one.
that was Corey Castle.
Cassell.
Most hashtag badass moment. My nominee was Rob X Theon. What was yours?
Barristan leaving the
Barry,
Kingsguard.
right?
And we gave it to Robin Theon.
Rob X Theon wins. So that's 2-2. So me too, Lil Zero.
Fuck off.
Best ship was Ned and Robert.
And that was a
That's
group
fine.
poll.
Biggest reader opinion turnaround. My vote was to Ned from Good to Bad. And what
And
was
mine
yours?
was Kat from Bad to Good, and you gave it to me.
Yep. So that's 2-1. Who's keeping score? I am. Dumbest POV character. I picked Ned.
We both picked Ned.
Okay, so that's a wash. So that's 2, or we'll call it 3-2. Dumbest decision. Was it telling Cersei his plan? Yeah, Ned telling Cersei his plan and letting her have time to counter it was mine.
I gave it to you. Mine was Sansa running to Cersei and telling her Ned's plan.
Right. So 4-2.
What happened to 3? Where'd 3 go?
Who had three?
Dude, I don't know. Whatever. You're gonna win regardless.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. The smartest POV character, the admin awarded Tyrion, and we disagreed with this. I picked
Yep.
Arya. Who'd you pick?
I picked Cat, and you agreed with me after our discussion.
So that Tyrion or Cat. Smartest decision. Mine was Arya's escape from the Red Keep.
That's what I had too.
Cool. There we go. Best sex scene.
You gave that one
Did
to
we?
me with Cersei and Jamie.
Oh yeah, Cersei and Jamie. It's a good one. Most deserved death. I refuse to let you win with saying a baby was the most deserved to die. Viserys Targaryen, who
Yeah,
is a
I
full-grown
conceded
adult.
to you.
Most undeserved death. My pick was Micah. What was yours?
Mine was a dog, and I agreed with you on Micah.
Oh yeah. Who should have died? I said Tyrion at the Green Fork.
And I said Loras, and you agreed with me.
Yeah, that's right. Loras. Yep. Greatest downfall. My nominees were Robert and Drogo. I think we picked Drogo.
Yes, we did. Because I did not have a nominee.
Oh right.
Yeah, Lillian
um,
was stupid.
yeah, Drogo, the undefeated Dothraki warlord, killed by dirt. Most improved station. Rob, who went from the heir to king of two realms.
Yes, because I totally forgot about that, and I picked Janos Slint, but we gave it to Rob.
No, because he had a castle. And then non-POV MVP. The group decided Jaime Lannister. But I nominated Jeffrey, and you picked
Cersei.
Cersei. Yep, that was another one of my mentions. Biggest surprise. Did we decide it was Ned dying or Rob being crowned?
All right, so we discussed this, and it's in the recording, so you guys know it. And Eric picked Ned being killed. I picked Rob being king. If I remember correctly, I thought you ended up agreeing with me, but it doesn't really matter because we took a little break in between recording and pulled the group, and
It is now tomorrow.
Ned has like 60 something votes and Rob has 4 votes, so apparently the bigger surprise is Ned died.
Again, I really liked mine. Finding out Varys and Illyrio are in cahoots.
That wasn't your nominee.
No, but that was a personal pick. Like, if I had to pick the most surprising thing of the book, it is Ned dying. But, like, on rereading it, like, finding out in the first
Yeah,
book
because we
that
went through all that, yes.
Varys and Illyrio. Biggest influence over Westeros, we selected Stannis Baratheon.
Yes.
Who won a Game of Thrones? We vetoed the group poll and awarded it to Renly.
Yes, King Renly.
And then the POV MVP went out with a dominating whimper from Lillian's arguments, and it goes to Cat.
Yeah.
So that's great. And now we are finally done with this book, A Game of Thrones.
Yes, and we get to move on to Clash.
Finally, I'm glad to be done with the Game of Thrones.
So we're going to be doing Clash in a different way. We're not going to be doing it straight through. We're going to kind of
first
tie
of all,
it.
we're going to be doing all the chapters.
Yes, we are going to do every chapter. A Game of Thrones, we kind of started in the middle because it was inspired by my reread group on Facebook, the Citadel, A Song of Ice and Fire reread group. And we just...
The plan was to match it.
we couldn't keep up the pace.
Doing 4 chapters a week.
There was no way we could record 4 podcasts a week and have me edit them.
We'll just kind of pick a couple.
Yeah.
And then once we hit Clash, we'll separate and do our own thing.
So Clash, we're doing every chapter, and we're going to do it a little differently. We're going to go based on storyline and where they kind of interweave. So it's going to be, I think it'll be an interesting order on how we do it.
Yeah, we haven't decided which person we'll do first, but we're doing linear straight through, so all the Jon chapters straight through, and then with because there's a couple of smaller POVs, Theon and Davos are included there, but since Davos has 4 chapters, something
4 or
really
5,
really small like that, we're just gonna insert Davos's chapters into Cat and Tyrion's whenever they
Where they meet
coincide.
up. Yeah.
Right. So Davos's Blackwater chapter will be wedged in with Tyrion's, and then the other Davos chapters will kind of be wedged in with Cat's as they fall in the timeline. Same
And
with
Theon, yeah, Theon will
yeah,
be with Kat and Bran.
yeah. He'll have like a slight little merge right in there.
So that should be
Um,
fun.
yeah, we'll figure it out. It'll be great. You guys just keep listening and you know let us know how bad our opinions are and everything like that. But thanks for listening to us for the first season. I guess I don't know. Uh, we've got what is this 15, 16, 17 something episodes? I don't know.
This is gonna be 16.
All right, yeah. So we've been it's we've worked our way through it, and I think we have a solid structure to the way we handle things now. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, again, thanks for listening to our previous ones. Continue to listen to us. We'll have a little bit of a bumpy schedule. The summer's coming up, and I'm moving, and then I'm wandering around Europe for a little while. So we'll see if I'll be on all of these, or if we'll just have Lillian and then a special guest uh, jump on for those. But we'll get to those when we get to those. Um, Follow us on the SoundCloud account, uh, the YouTube at Glass Candle Podcast. We'll tweet this out on Twitter if any of you people are on Twitter. And like, comment, subscribe, join the group, ASOIAF/GOT Discussions and Theories. That's where the majority of all of our opinions and content, as well as our other admins that we've name dropped through here, and a couple of the other people that we've mentioned on comments. We have some really great discussions in there. Lillian has her own reread group where they're going through chapter by chapter through A Clash of Kings right now.
Hmm.
4 chapters a week still.
4 chapters a week, and I want to say we're about a third of the way through the book right now.
Um, yep. So you got 2 groups there. Come join us. It's a lot of fun. If you're in the group and you're listening to us, again, please go to the YouTube and like, comment, subscribe to that stuff, so we can draw more people into the main group and get more opinions and interaction and discussion going on there. That's about all I got.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See you later.